Hey, I love hiking, but with all these hikers dying lately, I want to know how to stay alive. There's an estimated 1,000 deaths in the US national parks each year, and of those deaths, about 50% are due to unintentional causes such as drowning, slip and falls, and vehicle accidents. The other 50% are due to natural causes such as heart attacks and strokes. So that's somewhere in the estimate between 150 and 500 deaths every year. I don't know about you, but I don't want to be another statistic. So to stay safe, we have to ask the question, what are the top hazards when hiking in the mountains? They say knowledge is power, and I want to have both. Here are the top 12 mountain hazards that you need to know about when you hike in the mountains. I'm going to list these in no particular order, and yes, a lot of these will kill you, like dead. Number 12, wildfires. You've probably noticed that wildfires are becoming more common in the past couple years, and more than likely, you've probably seen some charred remains while out there on the trail. 85% of these are caused by people, like the 2016 wildfire in the Smoky Mountains that burned down over 11,000 acres, which was about 2% of all the land in the park. Sometimes these can be naturally occurring fires caused by weather elements like lightning, which plays an important role in forested ecosystems by clearing out the dead wood and foliage. Wildfire season is mostly in the summer and autumn, and part of doing your due diligence as a hiker is to look at the fire conditions before you hike. As well, if you're camping, be sure to know the local fire restrictions at your campsite. The number one cause of human-started fires in the United States. Number 11, water. 20% of all hiking fatalities are due to drowning. So if you die on the trail, you have a 1 in 5 chance of dying from water. Rushing water has a power that's easy to be misjudged, even by the most experienced hiker, like me. Even a small stream can become dangerous when swollen by rain runoff. So it's important to be aware of your surroundings and take extra care when hiking in areas with the potential to flash flood. Be extremely wary of snowmelt seasons and flash flooding. Also, don't go swimming above a waterfall. I may be saying something obvious, but you would be surprised the number of people who have been killed by swimming above one. Number 10, wildlife. Do not, I repeat, do not feed any wild animals. This creates really bad behaviors for the animal and is most likely illegal where you are hiking. Any cute animals like deer have sharp hooves and a strong kick. And then raccoons and squirrels can carry diseases and also have a wild temperament. Now let's talk about the big three. Bears, snakes, and mountain lions. Oh my. Aggressive bear behavior is almost always caused by human negligence. Bears can be trained by people to see human food as an easy and tasty meal, and this curtails their food gathering techniques, making them more dependent upon begging, scavenging, and aggression. When they adopt this behavior, they are more likely to break into vehicles, campsites, tents. You have a 1 in 230,000 chance of being attacked by a bear in the backcountry. Sounds like pretty good odds to me, but just in case, bring your bear spray. Snake bites from venomous snakes are definitely fatal, but they're also extremely rare. Overall, each year, only about 8,000 people are bitten by venomous snakes. And of those, only 5 die. It's still a good idea to use caution where you put your hands and feet. And if you do get bit, you're going to want to seek treatment as soon as possible. Thankfully, most rattlesnakes are found below 8,000 feet above sea level, although there has been a growing number of reports of them being at higher elevations. In my opinion, the scariest animal that you can encounter while hiking in the mountains is the mountain lion. But truth be told, this is also one of the most rare things that can happen to you. Since 1986, there has only been 19 verified claims of encounters with them, and only 3 of those were fatal. I should say that most of these encounters were with runners and bikers, because cats like to chase. Wildcats are typically shy creatures. They're commonly found in lower elevation canyons, foothills, and forests. If you do find yourself in an encounter, don't run, because this almost always instigates them to attack you. Stand your ground, shout, and if necessary, fight back. Number 9, slips and falls. On Sunday, October 4th, 2020, a 25-year-old man fell to his death at Glen Canyon National Recreation Area in Arizona. When authorities recovered his body, they found the remains of other hikers who had suffered the same fate. A man in 2016 was boiled to death and dissolved after falling into one of Yellowstone's famed thermal pools. These reports all say one thing: slip and falls are common. They are the most common cause of death while hiking, accounting for nearly 50% of all fatalities. If you've been hiking a while, it's pretty common. It's probably happened to you. Here's a video of me falling on Mount LeConte in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, and I was just going down a set of 3 rock stairs. It's super easy to slip on wet surfaces and lose your footing around cliffs and mountain edges and fall all at the same time. Sometimes it's due to bad luck, sometimes it's due to bad footing. But other times, hikers just break the rules. If you don't think the rules apply to you, well, they do. And if you don't follow them, well, suffer the consequences. Parks are wild places, and I want them to be more like nature than a theme park with guardrails. If I wanted that, I would just go to Disney World or something. According to National Park Service data, 7 visitors in 6 parks fell to their death between January and the end of July this year. Some of those were hiking influencers. Yeah, taking a selfie is a dangerous occupation. I'm talking to you. No, I'm talking to me. Number 8, lightning. Another dangerous and unpredictable hazard while hiking in the mountains is lightning. Storms are incredibly common at the high peaks in the mountains, and you do not want to be on a peak when a thunderstorm comes rolling around. I definitely recommend that you hike in the early mornings and plan on getting up the mountain by the mid-afternoon, since this is when most mountain storms tend to develop. If you are caught in a thunderstorm, it's best to find shelter and wait it out until the storm has passed. But be sure to avoid taking shelter in caves and rock recesses. That is not a good idea. Number 7, dehydration. While too much water is a bad thing, so is not enough water. Dehydration poses a threat amongst all hikers, and especially in hot weather. You may notice the symptoms of a headache or fatigue, or perhaps even dark urine. To prevent this, you simply want to drink as you hike, even if you aren't thirsty. When hiking in warm and humid conditions, it's important to drink plenty of fluids, take frequent breaks, and stay cool. This is the only way to prevent heat-related illnesses. In addition to carrying enough water for yourself, it is also important to hike with the ability to get water. I always hike with a water filter. I pack out about 70 ounces of water in my day hikes to the mountains, and sometimes that isn't enough. It's also a good idea to bring along electrolyte tablets or powders to help you stay hydrated. Electrolyte-rich foods such as oranges or bananas can also be helpful. Hazard number 6, the sun. Radiation from the sun at higher altitudes is way more intense than if you were to just be standing at sea level. Prolonged or intense exposure to the sun can cause quite a few problems. First and most obvious are sunburns. Another condition, though, that most people might not know about is snow blindness. This is a sunburn on the eyes. Thankfully, snow blindness is only a temporary eye pain and discomfort. It's usually not serious, and it will heal on its own within a few days. Keep in mind while you're hiking, on exposed cliffs that the clouds do not block UV rays from the sun. Also, don't forget your lip balm. So number 5, hypothermia. This is the primary cause of weather-related deaths on the trail. Hypothermia is a severe drop in the body's temperature. Basically, your body can't produce heat faster than it's losing it. Now that is a big problem. When your body temperature drops, your heart, your nervous system, and other organs can't work. Left untreated, hypothermia can lead to a complete failure of your heart and respiratory systems, and eventually lead to your death. Hazard number 4, altitude sickness. When you feel symptoms of altitude sickness, your body is reacting to getting less oxygen out of the thinner air that exists at higher altitudes. This is most likely to occur somewhere over 6,500 feet above sea level. A steady throbbing headache is a telltale sign that you are dealing with altitude sickness. If you're suffering from this, you'll more than likely have one of these hangover-like symptoms: nausea and vomiting, fatigue, lethargy, loss of appetite, and difficulty sleeping. I should mention that while most altitude sickness is usually not severe, there are forms that are, and these can be fatal if the hiker is not brought to a lower elevation quickly. Number 3, giardia. I previously told you to make sure that you get enough water to drink while you're out hiking these mountains. But you should also be aware of giardia. This is a protozoan parasite that can cause cramping, diarrhea, vomiting, and fatigue. Symptoms begin within 2 days to 2 weeks after ingesting it. Basically, giardia spreads when mammals who have it defecate in the water. Yummy. Hazard number 2, old mining operations. Depending where you are likely to find remains from an old mining operation, many of which may not be mapped and they may not be sealed. Some are even active. Falling into these mining operations is not the only danger that presents itself to you on your hike. There was a family of 3 who were found dead on a hiking trail in California. They may have been poisoned by the gases released from a nearby abandoned gold mine. The bodies of British-born software engineer John Jerish and his wife Ellen Chung, their 1-year-old daughter Muji, and their pet dog all mysteriously were discovered dead. They had been hiking at an area known as Devil's Gulch in the Sierra National Forest. It's likely, said the sheriff, that they were killed by carbon monoxide released from the old underground mines. So, to be safe, be sure you respect all mining encampments and private property while you are in the mountains. And the last hazard to be cautious of while you're in the mountains is getting lost. I know when I'm hiking on the trail, sometimes my mind begins to daydream and then I'm not paying attention. Suddenly, I realize that I've lost the trail. In the mountains particularly, trails can be unofficial, unplanned, and lacking a path. If you get lost, If you do get lost in the mountains, don't panic. Try to retrace your steps if it's possible. And if it's getting dark, plan to get yourself shelter and stay warm. As always, preventative actions are always the best. If you're going to hike alone, bring a GPS and download a map. Then you need to let someone know where you're going and then let them know when you plan to return. I hope I provided you with some good rudimentary pointers in this video. If you enjoyed it, I would really appreciate you hitting that like button, leaving me a comment below, and also subscribing so you can see more of my hiking content. As always, thank you for watching and happy hiking, my friends.